Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is CeeChronicles and I post fragrance related content on this platform. Now, if that style of content is something that you like, please do consider joining this family by clicking the red subscribe button. Make sure it turns grey and that's it. You would have become, part of this family. And to those who are returning, thank you so much for the continued support. I appreciate you guys as always. Also, check out my second channel where I post vlogs as well as Western fragrance reviews. The name of that channel is CeeChronicles Unscripted, and you're going to find it in the description of this channel. That is where my photograph is. If you click there, you're going to see two links. One is going to take you to CeeChronicles Unscripted, and the second link is going to be a PayPal donate link in case you want to contribute anything at all towards the purchases of fragrances on this channel, because this channel is not sponsored. Now, welcome to today's video. I had a request from somebody who wanted me to update my Middle Eastern citrus fragrance recommendations, and I did say to them that I was going to. I'm going to see if I can fish out the comment, but if I can't, I hope they will be watching this video. The first two recommendations are going to be these fragrances. They're not from the same company, guys. One is from Paris Corner, the Amir collection, and this one is called Ultra Citrus, and the second one is from Fragrance World, and this one is called Fresh as Citrus. So they're going to be number 1 and number 2. Why? Because both these fragrances, guys, draw inspiration from Guerlain's Le Frenchy. One is an outright Frenchy clone, and the second one is a Le Frenchy Lavende clone. Okay, and let me just put this to the side while I spray the Fragrance World one. Okay, and then I'm going to give you a brief take of, my thoughts. Right, so I'm going to hold this paper here and the other tester paper on the other side. So this is the Paris Corner one, Ultra Citrus from the Emir line, and this is Fresh as Citrus from Fragrance World. Now, it's going to depend on which one you can get your hands on, but these fragrances, guys, are not very distant from each other. This one is supposed to be a Le Frenchy Lavende clone, so it's going to have that lavender twist to it, a little bit of an aromatic lavender twist to it, the Fragrance World one. However, both of them are going to appeal to anybody who's looking for a beastly citrus, right? These two fragrances, guys, if you have somebody who says, I do not like citrus fragrances because they do not last, challenge them to purchase either one of these fragrances. This is citrus on steroids. Both fragrances, guys, are built around citrus, and more citrus. That's going to be lemon verbena, the grain leaves, the verbena leaves, the bergamot, the orange crushed leaves, all sorts of notes that build to an intense citrus. And these are citruses that are going to last basically, I'm going to say the whole day, right? I'd love to say the next wash, but that's going to depend on the amount of sprays. If you are on a hunt for an outright citrus fragrance, don't mind smelling like you've been picking on lemons, chopping lemons, or chopping oranges, the rind, that sort of thing, then either one of these two are going to do, guys. So I have decided to drop them on number 1 and number 2, one being Ultra Citrus from the house of Paris Corner, and the second one being Fresh as Citrus from the house of Fragrance World. So do take note, guys, that you can purchase either. They just, to my nose, smell basically like the same thing, unless you are very particular about smelling that aromatic lavender. But I think even the aromatic lavender that you get in this one is a little bit buried there, because the citrus concoction that they have used there is doing a little bit too much. So we're gonna jump to number 3, guys, because remember, I presented number 1 and number 2 at the same time because those fragrances vibe the same. Now, the second one is going to be Rave Now White. Okay, now this is not going to give you the sort of citrus that I was talking about in those two. This is a complex type of fragrance. Okay, it is composed of grapefruit as well as that bergamot, but the grapefruit and the bergamot in this are working with a crisp apple. So some of you guys are going to get more of that crisp apple then you are going to get like a lemony feel, but there is definitely a fresh cleanness to this fragrance. It's unique. I think of all you know, the raves, this is my favorite. And I do find how, or I do get how some people find it a little bit complex there, because it's one of those DNAs that are not going to give you exactly what you expect. Like one of those DNAs that are, you know, say I came here and I just said, oh, top 10 citruses, and I just threw this and never explained. It would throw you off. Say you purchased it and you're like, what's going on here? Because there's a lot of complexity in this fragrance. There's a cashmere feel to this that rounds up that juice. There's also a patchouli there, which some of you are going to find maybe doing the most. There's a touch of greenness there. Clean, fresh, citrusy, beautiful, but non-traditional. Okay, non-traditional in the sense that it's going to have a little bit of some pizzazz in it. And the way I have described this, even in its review, where I dedicated a review of this, was I get like almost like a Vintesque type of vibe in this fragrance. So there is some little bit of character in this citrus. It's the third one on the lineup, guys. Rave Now White from the house Rave, but I believe Rave is a subsidiary of Lattafa. So if you can't find it on the internet outright as Rave, I think you can just write Lattafa Rave. Okay. Let me push my fragrances closer. I'm only noticing now that I actually did put them a little bit far away from me. Okay, so straight into number 4, right? Number 4 is going to be Amir. Okay, Amir from the house of Lattafa. Now, don't let this bottle fool you. This bottle fooled me. And every time I look at it, I just look at it, I'm like, I wouldn't have never guessed you were a citrus, you know. I don't know what I was expecting, more so that they went on to, you know, to put that red thing inside there. I don't know if you can see that red kind of crystal in there. I would have never guessed that this would be a citrus, but this is a citrus with a lot of weight. It's not going to be like your typical gym citrus. It's going to, of course, give you that burst of a fresh, spicy feel there in the opening. It's going to be aromatic as well. The lemon, of course, the bergamot there, making a statement within this fragrance. And then there is a juniper that weighs in to add a little freshness, I guess, to maybe what would have otherwise been a soury scent. I don't know, but yes, there is a fresh juniper there. And the dry down of this fragrance is going to have a roundup of something that feels very rich there, which is the sandalwood weighing in. Rich, but kind of softening things. Okay, rich but kind of softening, in the sense that if you know sandalwood, you will know that it does sometimes add a warmth to a fragrance. The citruses then feel not as piercing, but it is definitely a concoction that is outright, you know, citrusy. Very long-lasting fragrance, this one as well. Does not interpret like either one of the 3 that I referred that I showed you here. So yes, you can add this one to your collection. It wouldn't feel redundant. The only 2 that would feel redundant if you owned both is the first 2, which is the ultra citrus and that fresh air citrus. Those 2 kind of smell the same. They kind of feel a little bit silly, you know, owning both of them. I just happen to own both of them because, of course, you know, I review fragrances and I love to decipher differences in fragrances. But what I can say about this one, say for instance with the Rave White, you can totally own the 2 and they're not going to feel the same, and this is going to last till the next wash. So kudos to Lattafa for this one. Amir, and it's their 2023 late 2023, or yeah, late 2023 release, and it's the 4th one, guys, on the lineup. Number 5, guys, is going to be Lady Presidente, and this one doesn't really get talked about a lot. The one that I see making the rounds, especially if you just type Lady Presidente on the internet, is the orange one. Okay, the one that's got that prominent mango. Now this, on the other hand, guys, is a citrus burst. It is built around mandarin, orange, bergamot, orange blossom, and orange is an independent note. Now what orange blossom does is it adds a fresh weight. It freshens up things in there, so you're gonna get that freshness there that is kind of wrapping up the florals in this fragrance, because this fragrance does have florals in the mix there. It also has vanilla and a patchouli. In fact, the patchouli in this is very heightened to an extent that if you don't like patchouli, maybe you ought to test this, but it is definitely built around that citrusy, summery kind of vibe. vibe. It is in the same vein, guys, as Coco Mademoiselle, but I get like a more sweeter interpretation in this one than I do from the actual Coco Mademoiselle. I do not own a bottle. I own a little tester, and you know, I've been one of those people that have been fortunate enough that anytime I buy anything from Chanel, they throw in Coco Mademoiselle. So I think I do have enough experience, you know, to kind of give you a mental shortcut comparing with that, even though I do not have the full size bottle. So yeah, guys, Lady Presidente, this one says Nui, is a citrusy forward fragrance, but it is like one fragrance that gives turns to both the citruses and the florals, so the citrus in here is not going to be too much on the piercing side, but more on the fresh round up there, kind of lightening things and making it very clean there, guys. It's the 5th one on the lineup, and it's from the house Emperor. Number 6, guys, is going to be a non-traditional citrus, right? This is Lattafa's Maya Natural Intense. This fragrance, guys, I still urge you to try and sniff this fragrance because it's not so much on the very expensive side. You can purchase this. I bet you is going to be one of those acquired type of fragrances, right? Now, I did a save or splurge with my daughter, and I compared this one to Giorgio Armani Acqua di Jour. Now, it doesn't come across outright as an Acqua di Jour. It just kind of feels like Lattafa's rendition or a juice that they decided to play around with, where you cannot exactly pin it as a clone of 100%, you know, of something. The Acqua di Jour nature in this one kind of opens up way later in the dry down. What you're gonna get in the forefront there is an aromatic burst, an obvious aquatic fragrance, and an ozonic tone, something that gives this fragrance a lot of color. There's also a fruity undertone in this fragrance, and then there is a tangerine. The tangerine in this fragrance is what gives it that citrusy weight. To my nose, the tangerine actually doesn't feel as though it is the juice of the tangerine, because the citrusy weight that I get from here feels as though it's the zesty part of the tangerine than the actual, just, you know, the juice of it. But it is a very interesting fragrance, something that you ought to try. I think it's one of the best, guys, from Lattafa, considering the DNA, the fact that it is a freshie without necessarily being an outright freshie. It's a citrusy fragrance without necessarily being a gym citrus. You know, it's aromatic without taking over the moment. It is just one fragrance that gives you a lot of different pages. Very creative. And, you know, if I were Lattafa, I would put this one maybe in the Lattafa Pride collection or something like that, because it's different. It's not like anything they've offered us in the past, and I cannot even compare it to any one of the fragrances that I have in my collection. But yes, it's here because it does have that citrusy twist to it, a fresh aromatic twist to it, that summery vibe to it. So if you want a citrus that's going to be different, a citrus that's going to make you feel elegant and classy, then try Maya Natural Intense. This, to me, wows me more than the actual pink one, honestly speaking. But enough said. Okay, this is sitting on our number 6 as a recommendation for anybody who's looking for a beautiful citrusy summery scent. And then, of course, Paris Corner had to give us Kissa. This fragrance, guys, compared to the pink one, don't run away from this fragrance. I know the blue bottle of this fragrance will make a lot of people, you know, think that this is going to align with masculine fragrances. Oh my God, this is another masterpiece. The surprise I got from this Kissa is almost the same surprise I got from this. They're not the same fragrance, but they're the sort of fragrances that if you just look at the bottle, you walk past them and say, oh, well, whatever, it's a blue fragrance, it's going to be one of those. Kissa, the blue one, guys, is gorgeous. This is built around that citrus. It's very close to Initius Musk Therapy. Now, if you have used Initius Musk Therapy, you will know that that is a fragrance that is citrusy, it's crisp, it's fresh, it's green, it's spicy, it's aromatic. It's very difficult, you know, to just put one kind of class to that fragrance. You know, it's a summery, it's crisp, and it has that orange and bergamot. And then as a wrap up, it has a waxy magnolia. Now, what that waxy magnolia does is it just wraps up and soothes the otherwise piercing nature of a crisp tone and a fragrance. So you're going to get a lemony freshness, but the wrap up of it is going to be waxy and this is nice. You just have to smell it for you to understand. And this is not a paid promotion, guys. And then later on, you are going to get a musky weight that's going to interpret as a little bit creamy. So this is not going to be another gym scent. It's going to have the citruses, which is the bergamot and the lemon. It's going to have a crispness to it. Because of that, it's going to have a freshness to it. Because of that, it's going to have an aromatic tone. But the wrap up of this is going to be that beautiful magnolia flower that makes it very different. And this, if you haven't put your nose to, please do. Please do. This is not a paid promotion. I just love this fragrance. It was a pleasant surprise, guys. Sitting on number 7 is Kisser from the house Paris Corner. Now the next two, which is number 8 and number 9, I'm going to present as a pair. Why? Because 1, they're both from Paris Corner, and 2, they're both cloning the Byredos. Okay, so let me get tester papers. Let me get tester papers so that I can tell you which is which. But I think already from the colors of the bottles, you can see that this one is going to align mostly with an orange tone of a fragrance, and then this one's going to be lemony. Okay, so let me spray the first one on this tester paper, and then I'm going to hold it together with, I'm going to hold the tester paper together with the fragrance. So this is going to be vibrant orange and neroli, okay, drawing its inspiration from Sundays. Let me put this to the side so that I do not break anything, and then spray the second one, which is a vibrant vetiver delight. Okay, so let's spray this one, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts. Okay, now this one draws its inspiration of course from Bal d'Afrique, while this one draws its inspiration from Sundays. Okay. So I decided to put these on 8 and 9, guys, because of course they are from the same house, but they do not smell the same. These are not even fragrances that I'll say buy this in place of this, or you know, this one is doing something that is similar to this. They're very, very different. This vibrant orange and neroli, guys, is a very orange, you know, orange candy like type of fragrance, even caramelly to that extent. The caramelly part, or the sweet part, the sugary part, is going to come across as cotton candy, or even as though, you know, it's a fragrance that was doused with icing sugar. You know, it's like a distinct sugar note that you're going to get from this, but with it, of course, it's going to carry that orange, that zesty feel. It's going to have a bergamot, but it's mostly going to be a very sweetened orange that you get from here than a piercing, you know, like lemony feel. It's going to be orangey than it is lemony. And then there's of course the gentle wafts of the jasmine. The jasmine makes sure not to take over the moment in this, and then there is the musk, and all together presenting a very sweet candy forward fragrance. The orange comes across as very candy forward there, to an extent that this is one I would say for the gents out there, maybe test, because it gives me that sweetened candy girly vibe to an extent. Okay, but inspired of course by Sundays. It's going to be a citrusy toned fragrance, ideal for summer. Doesn't feel like any of the ones I've showed you here. So this is vibrant orange. And now when it comes to the vetiver one, okay, let me just put this one on the side because we have finished that. That is going to be our number 8. Then this is going to be number 9. Vibrant vetiver delight. This is inspired by your Bal d'Afrique, right? If you love Bal d'Afrique, you're not going to be missing much from this, because I do actually own Bal d'Afrique. Now, the vetiver and neroli is a fragrance built around, of course, that vetiver. There's going to be the Amalfi there, lemon, there's a bergamot there. This one is more piercing, okay? More piercing than the orange one. They do not smell the same at all, but this one's going to give you a sort of like a greenness there, something that's fresh, very summery there. There's going to be a black currant in the mix, and the black currant there kind of gives it like a soury tone, or a greenish kind of tone. And then there's an aromatic tone to this fragrance, a citrusy wrap up to the fragrance. So this is more citrusy than its orange counterpart, but personally I prefer the orange one. Let me just hold it, because maybe you might be wondering what I'm pointing at. Okay, personally I prefer this one, but if you are going for an outright summery type of fragrance that is going to give you that zesty feel, that citrusy feel, aromatic feel, a black currant doing the most, citrus there, lemony even, then this is going to do it. Of course, it does have very faint florals. Okay, so this is our number 8 and number 9, both from Paris Corner. One is Vibrant Vetiver Delight, and the other one is Vibrant Orange and Neroli. And then the last one on the lineup, guys, is going to be Ansem Silver. I feel for this fragrance, I just feel that this fragrance was kind of overshadowed by its counterpart. Remember, they have the Ansem Gold. This is from Latafa. They have the Ansem Gold, and when the Ansem Gold was released and everybody got wind that that one was inspired by Love Don't Be Shy, it looks like this one was just a lot of people didn't really care for. They just were looking for that red one, and I couldn't find the maroon red one for a long time until I thought, let me just buy this. Maybe it's a continuation of that. No, this one has nothing to do with the Love Don't Be Shy. This is more on the masculine side. Yes, we're not putting gender to fragrances, but when I say it's more on the masculine side, I'm talking about fragrances that are typically stereotyped as smelling masculine, you know, like the very piercing, maybe vetiver in there, nose that builds up a masculine fragrance, woody, that sort of thing. They don't come across as outright sweet and girly, fruity florals, that type of thing. You're not going to get that from this. What you're going to get the loudest in this is, of course, the bergamot, and that bergamot mixes with a bitter green Davana and a spicy cardamom. The same spicy cardamom is going to weigh in as bitter as well, so there's going to be a double tone of bitterness in this fragrance. And then there's going to be the patchouli and the vanilla, but I wouldn't say rush for this one if you are after a vanilla forward fragrance, because I don't get to the part where it's very vanilla-y. I mean, it's actually citrus and then patchouli, citrus and then patchouli, aromatic, fresh, clean, in the same vein as Azaro wanted, minus the caramel note. The vanilla doesn't make up for the caramel, in the sense of, say, for instance, if you're thinking, okay, so it's got vanilla instead of caramel, so it's still going to be sweet. No, this gives me the citrusy vibe, ultra citrusy vibe. So it does shift a little bit there from Azaro Most Wanted, in the sense that it does not have that caramel weight. Has the vanilla, but the vanilla is not doing the most in sweetening this. It actually rather presents as an outright citrusy, fresh, summery fragrance. Okay, so yeah, that is what I can say as the 10th and the last one in the lineup. Ansem Silver from the house of Latafa, and this I'm going to put at 80% musky. So that's it, guys. Those are some of the Middle Eastern citrus fragrance recommendations for you, for those who are interested to know. And these are fragrances that are going to be ideal in the heat, and for those who like the citrus note, which is going to be bergamot, grapefruit, orange, anything zesty there, weighing in, giving a fragrance a crisp accord to it, a fresh, summery, even aromatic tone to it. CeeChronicles is my name. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Let's meet in the comment section, where we'll obviously discuss more about fragrances. Let me know of other citrus recommendations, because obviously they're not limited to this. These are Middle Eastern. Let me know your thoughts on them, if you have any of them, whether you would want to recommend some other fragrances that I did not bring here. Throw them in the comment section. While you're at it, please remember to turn on post notifications on both my channels. That way you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Like and share this one, guys, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.